Have you ever had a situation come up in Spring where you're trying to auto-wire a dependency and there's more than one available bean as a candidate for injection? Well, a student of mine had that same problem, and in this lesson, I want to take a look at the solution. And we'll do that right after this. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Dan Vega, and on this channel, you'll find tips, tricks, and tutorials related to software development. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing, and as always, anything we talk about will be listed in the description below. So I want to get on with the question here. This student of mine in one of my courses asked this question, and we're going to cover the question and the solution. So it says, hi, in this lesson, number 70, building a REST API, in the service folder, there is a post-service interface, and its implementation is called post-service implementation. Then in the post controller, that interface is injected using the autowired annotation with constructor injection. So my question is this: how does Spring Boot know that we want to use the post-service implementation for that post-service interface? In the case that there could be many implementations, how do we specify which one to use? Thank you for your help. No, thank you. I actually crossed out his name, blurred out his name just for privacy reasons, but thank you so much for the question. And this is actually a really good question. This is something that comes up a lot. And so what I want to do is dive in, create a new Spring Boot project, and look at this problem as it comes up, and take a look at and walk through the solution to this issue. And we'll do that right now. Okay, so I've started a brand new Spring Boot 2 project, just went through the Spring Initializer wizard, and I haven't done anything yet. So we're going to kind of walk through this together. So here in my source main Java folder, I have my main application class. And all I'm going to do here is create a new package, and I'm going to call this controller. And inside of controller, I'm going to create a new class called link controller. And we'll come back to this in a second. And then in here, I'm going to create a new package called service. And what I'm going to do is create a new Java class. We'll call this link service, but I'm going to have this as an interface. And what we'll do is we'll say that this is going to declare, let's just call it create link. So any of our classes that implement link service need to implement create link. So let's save that. And now what we'll do is we'll create two new classes in here. So we'll create one called HTML link service, and that's going to be a class, and that's going to implement link service. So that's good there, and that needs to implement our method, and we should be good to go there. So then we're going to have one more, and we're going to say this is going to be a PDF link service. And again, this is going to implement our link service. Okay, so that should be enough boilerplate code. So in here, we're going to do a couple of things. Let's say that this is a service, and that this is a service, and let's come back over here. So we have a REST controller. And let's just pretend that somewhere in here we're going to ask for our link service. So we might say private link service. We'll call this link service. And I don't know why that didn't pull it in. Okay, so again, we're asking for the type link service. So again, we're programming to an interface, not the implementation. So we're just asking for a generic type here of link service. So then we might have a constructor here, right? So in our constructor, we might ask for a link service. And right away, you'll see a little red squiggly there. It says, could not autowire. There is more than one bean of type link service. So it also gives us these suggestions here. There's an HTML link service. There's a PDF link service. And, you know, we can easily fix this by saying, let's go ahead and say HTML link service, and this is link service. So here we're defining the implementation. So we're saying here, I want you to get a link service, and that's going to instantiate our link service property here. But that's not always the case. Like, you don't want to do it that way because we may want to switch it up later. So we're going to take this back to link service. And again, this is going to throw an error. And so there is a way to kind of fix this. So when there's only one type of, when there's only one candidate here, so if there was only link service and there was only one available bean candidate, then you're not going to run into this issue. But in this instance where you have more than one, you have to tell Spring what to do here. I mean, it's the same case if you were to come in here and create a constructor that you instantiated a new link service by yourself. At that point, you'd have to know which link service you're trying to instantiate. So there's an easy way to do this, and that's by using the @qualifier annotation. So if we say @qualifier, and now it's going to ask for a bean name here, basically. So you want to tell Spring which link service you want to use. So let's say I wanted the HTML link service. So by default, the way that Spring names your beans is it uses your class name and it uses a camel case to produce that bean name. Of course, you can come up here and provide your own bean name, but in this instance, we're just going to use what the default HTML link service bean name is. So if we come back over here, we can just say HTML link service. And now when we go ahead and save that, Spring knows exactly what link service you're talking about. So that's just a quick way to be able to identify between more than one bean which bean you're talking about. And this comes in handy, very handy when you're talking about constructor injection here. And again, back in the question, he was asking about when I'm using autowired. This was a little bit older, and anything 4.3 and above, we don't need to do that if we're only using one constructor here. So that's the only difference there. So I hope that helped. I will link to the documentation for annotation type qualifier. So you can see this annotation may be used on a field or a parameter as a qualifier for candidate beans when autowiring. So that's really specifically what it's made for. So I hope this tutorial helped you out. I hope you found it useful. And if you have any questions around this or anything else that you see on this channel, please leave me a comment below, as well as any suggestions of videos that you'd like to see from me in the future. So with that, let's go ahead and end this one, and I hope you guys have a great day.